Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to yet another video. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and consider liking this video. Today, I have a very requested video, and that is how to perform an EWS delete on your BMW. Now, for those who do not know what the EWS module does on a BMW, it is essentially your car's immobilizer system. And over time, these systems can lose synchronization between the DME and the module, or the module and the keys, and it just makes for a sticky situation where sometimes your car may not be able to start or just cranks and stuff like that. So today I'm going to show you how to remove the EWS information from the DME. So once it's removed from the DME no longer looks at the module to say, hey, what information do you have so I can start the car? It just allows the car to start. Obviously, your key is still cut to the ignition because it still has your ignition locked that way. A lot of people do this for track, or a lot of people just want to get rid of it. Or the other thing I will show you how to do today, I will show you how to virginize your DME. So from the factory, you're only able to write to the DME once. However, thanks to the MS43 dev team, we were able to rewrite to the DME's EWS information multiple times in boot mode. And I'll explain more how to put DME in boot mode, but just know that you will have to put the DME in boot mode to get this to work. Now, a couple things I am going to mention. I am going to be doing this on a bench setup, and I'll show you my bench setup now. This is all my bench setup is. It's two connectors right here that go to the DME, power, and an OBD port. I will have a link down below of how to make this. It is super simple. If you do not want to make this, I can make one for you for relatively inexpensive, as well as I can perform EWS delete on your DME if you want, or even another DME I can send to you if you would like with your VIN. All I would need is your VIN and what you want done to it. So going more on the EWS delete, this video is really getting close in touching parts of tuning the car, but we're not doing that in today's video. That will be a entirely separate video of how to tune your BMW, especially the E46 with the MS43. So this video is going to cover any cars with the MS40X DME. In this case today, we have a MS43 right here that we will be using on a bench setup. Don't get discouraged. If you'd like to do this in a car, you can. It's just a little more tricky. I definitely recommend having a bench setup. I think this one cost me like $5 to make, take some parts from the junkyard, and I was able to make one. However, you can do this in your car. It's just a little more tricky, and I really like doing it on a bench setup, and that's why I can make DMEs for anyone, because I have a bench setup. But with that being said, let's get started. I'll show you my bench setup and we'll get connected to the car. All right, so before I show everyone how to actually perform an EWS delete, we're going to have to go to the site ms40x.net. This is the MS43 dev team that created this awesome tool and all this knowledge regarding MS40X tuning, EWS delete, stuff like that. I will be showing you guys how to tune your MS43 equipped car, so any of the E46, E39, E53, anything that has an MS40X DME, I will be showing you how to tune in a future video, but today I thought we'd just stick to how to do an EWS delete. So a couple files we're going to need if we come down here. Depending on what you have, we're going to have to grab the definition files. So we are going to want to grab the MS43009. We want to grab the full 512 definition file. And this just allows a program called Tuner Pro to understand what's on the ECU. So we're going to need that. We are also going to update the ECU, and we want to grab the latest version of firmware that we can put on an MS43 or whatever you're trying to do. If you're using an MS42 or MS45s are kind of a pain, so that's why we're sticking to MS43, and that's what my car has. So in this case, we want to grab the 0069 firmware. That has the most support, and you can do the most things with it. That is why we are going to download it. So I have a M54B30, so that's a 3.0 M54. Pick what you have. In this case, I have a US car. If you had a Euro right-hand drive or Euro left-hand drive, so I have US car, so we're going to download that. Then we are going to need some flashing tools, and this allows us to actually flash the firmware that we're going to modify. There's a couple different ones. In this case, we need the JM Garage Flasher, and this will allow us to read the boot mode and then modify the data and then reflash it back to the ECU. So this is what we really want right here. And I believe that is it. The other thing that you can do, if you would like, we can grab the MS43 checksum. This just makes sure your checksums are correct when you try to flash. Sometimes you might get an error saying your checksums are wrong, so you can grab that as well. The only other thing I think we're going to need, yes, we are going to need the Tuner Pro MS43 community patch list. Grab the latest one, the latest one's right here. It's the version 2.9. Reason why is because this has the most up-to-date and allows us to perform an EWS after reading in our firmware, but we're going to update it and then read it back in with this, and we'll be able to add a new VIN if it's a different DME going in to the car. All right, so we have JM Garage opened up. We have the ECU opened up. It was 4 T20 screws that we took up. We have our OBD cable connected, and we have a ground right here that we're doing on a bench setup. If you're not doing it on a bench setup, you can grab the ground from like the strut tower. The ECU is currently off. If you're not using a bench setup, the car would be currently off and you'd be turning it to position 2 when you're about to read it. So what we are going to do, we are going to ground pin 104 and then turn on the power. So if you're doing this in a car, you essentially need 2 people, one to hold the ground, the other to start. So I'm going to replug in my OBD cable just to make sure that we have a connection. Connect to Windows, and then we are going to hold it on pin 104 and then turn on the power and hold it for 6 seconds. You won't be able to see it. I'll put a screen capture or a screenshot of what it's going to look like, where the pin's located. So I'm applying the pin. We're going to turn it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I like to do 8 seconds, so once that's done, we can press connect. Once connected, we want to read the 512 kilobit file. So we're just going to press read, and it's going to read the whole ECU, and this will be our backup file. Okay, so once you've successfully read the flash off the DME, it took me a couple tries. It says reading flash timed out. I just kept pressing read, and eventually I was able to read it. We can go up here, we can press save. We can save the dump, save it on my desktop, and it was MS43, call it original. Sure, great. So now we have the original and we saved it. So now that we have backed up our original bin file and we have the new file that we downloaded depending on your firmware. So in this case, this was the one I downloaded. So if I went file, open bin, this is going to be that bin file that you downloaded. This is mine right here, MS43 underscore MS43 0069 underscore E46 underscore. So this is just my new firmware that I'm going to flash. So what we can do is we can just open it, and if you just want to use your original firmware, you can too, but we're just going to update it just to make it easier. So we're going to open that. We are then going to have to go to XDF, and we're going to have to go to select XDF, and then the XDF file that we downloaded earlier right here is the community patch list .29. We're going to press open, and then we are going to expand some things. We have a couple things right here. We have the VIN number right here, which is in all hex. So if you want to modify it, you'll have to come use a different program, and I have the program right here that you could have downloaded too. VIN to hex right here. If we put in this hex code right here, it pops up with a VIN since we entered that in hex. So if you would like to change the VIN on the DME, which I mentioned I can do for you, you would put your VIN in this program and it would convert it to hex, and then you'd fill it out in here and press save. So that's how you change the VIN. We don't need to do that today. Today we are just going to show you about the EWS information. So right here, if we click on immobilizer bypass, it says not patch. If we click apply patch, apply, and then if we reopen it up, it's going to say patched. That was the EWS bypass. That's what we did. All we did was bypass that EWS system, and it's all set. The next thing that we can do, or if you want to do, we wouldn't patch it, we'd remove patch, and we'd go under clear immobilizer data. And if we clicked clear immobilizer data, that would bring it back to a virgin state where you can actually repair it using IMPA or the WinKFP or MS43 dev tools, a bunch of different tools that you can use, and this will allow you to repair a DME to an EWS system if you'd like to keep it. If you got a new DME or for whatever reason they became out of sync, you can actually go in and resync it to that EWS system, and the EWS system will function 100%. However, the last thing we need to do is bypass this checksum. Because we modified things, there's a checksum on it to make sure everything is all right. We're just gonna bypass that so it doesn't need to know because we changed some things. You may be able to get away with it. There is a program that checks it. So depending on what you want to do, you can have it checked or you can just bypass it. So in this case, I'm just going to click bypass. And this is just the checksum. You can read more about the checksum on the MS43 dev site about the actual checksums because there's a couple different ones. And then we can click apply. And there's some other things we can do in here, but I will get into that later on a tuning video. This is literally just how to perform an EWS delete in a bypass. After we're done, we can click save bin as. We're gonna give it a brand new name. So we can say like EWS underscore del. I already have another one, so I'm just gonna call it. So now we know it's my EWS delete, and we can save that. Close out Tuner Pro, and then we can put the DME into boot mode again and flash it. All right, the next thing is to put your DME back into boot mode, or if you never disconnect it, it should still be in boot mode. And then we're going to open up JM Garage again, go to open, and we are going to find that new modified file that contains the EWS delete. I'm gonna press open, and now that it has that file opened up, we are going to press, scroll down, we can see it has that file open up. We are going to press write, and it is now going to write this to the DME. And after that, we have successfully deleted EWS off a DME, or virginized it, or changed the VIN, whatever you want it to do. Obviously, there's other ways of changing the VIN. You can use Tool32, you can use WinKFP if you update the module, but this is just how I did it because obviously it's on a bench, and it was the easiest way to do it in our case. So we'll let this run, and then that is all I have to show on how to do it. So we'll close up the video. All right, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This was a highly requested video of showing how to perform an EWS delete on your BMW that is equipped with an EWS module. This video applies to any BMW that has an MS40X engine. In this case, we specifically showed on a MS43 DME. This DME will actually be going in my BMW E46 once I tune it. Like I said, I am going to be producing a video on how to tune these cars as well. So this will be a separate DME that goes in my E46 with EWS delete, and it will be tuned. That will be for a future video, but right now we just showed how to perform an EWS delete. If you guys have any questions at all, like always, drop me in the comments below. I can help as best as I can. I am not an expert about this. The MS43 team is far more knowledgeable than I am. This is just the information I picked up from the internet. I figured I'd make a video. It's not readily available. No one really shows a simple DIY of how to do this, so I thought I'd do that. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have a DME that needs to have an EWS delete on it and you do not feel comfortable doing it yourself, send it my way. I can do it, or I can even ship you a DME with EWS already on it. The only thing I'd need to know is a couple details about your car, including what type of car it is, whether it's a US car, Euro car, and I'd also need to know about the VIN so I can rewrite the correct VIN to the DME. But yeah, it's really not that complicated. Bench setup takes a lot of the stress and headache out if you can get a hold of the components to make one. It's super simple. Like I mentioned, you can also just pin in the wires on MS43's site. They have the actual pinout for all of them, and that's how I made it, but I just made my life simpler because I can just plug it in, don't have to worry about repinning it every time. But that is all I have for today's video. If you guys like this video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Also, check out my Amazon ECS affiliate link down below, as it helps out the channel at no cost to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.